Have you ever felt like invisible forces are shaping our world? Like there are hidden rules and unseen powers pulling the strings of society? Ancient Gnostic texts spoke of just that, describing a group of cosmic rulers known as the Archons. These weren't just mythical beings. They were described as the creators of our material world, gatekeepers of consciousness, led by a flawed creator, God named Yaldabaoth. But what if these ancient figures are more than just dusty old legends? What if they are powerful symbols for the very forces that influence our lives today? Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of Gnosticism to decode the 12 Archons. We'll explore who they were, what they represented, and how their ancient roles mirror the modern challenges we face. From bureaucratic red tape and manipulative media to systemic corruption and the fight for justice. This isn't just a history lesson. It's a new lens through which to view our society and even our own minds. By understanding these archetypes, we might just learn how to navigate the complex systems that surround us. So, if you're ready to peel back the layers of reality, let's begin our journey into the realm of the Archons. Our first Archon is Athoth, often depicted with the face of a sheep. In Gnostic lore, Athoth embodies blind obedience and a lack of independent thought. Think of a flock of sheep following the leader without question. In our modern world, Athoth is the perfect symbol for social conformity. It's that pressure to fit in, to follow the crowd, and to accept what authority figures tell us without asking why. You see Athoth's influence in large, impersonal bureaucracies where rules are followed simply because they are rules, discouraging creativity and critical thinking. It's the "we've always done it this way" mentality that stifles innovation and keeps us locked in outdated patterns. It's the subtle force that encourages us to consume the same media, hold the same opinions, and live our lives on a pre-approved script. Athoth represents the comfort of the herd, but also the danger of losing our individuality within it. Next, we encounter Eloaiou, who has the face of a donkey. This archon represents stubbornness and willful ignorance. You know the expression "stubborn as a mule"? That's Eloaiou in a nutshell. This archetype isn't about a lack of intelligence. It's about a rigid refusal to change or consider new information. In today's world, Eloaiou's influence is everywhere. We see it in institutions that cling to outdated dogmas, whether in education, law, or politics. It's the mindset that resists scientific evidence because it challenges long-held beliefs. It's the corporate culture that refuses to adapt to new technologies and then wonders why it's failing. Eloaiou is the echo chamber, the filter bubble, the force that keeps us locked in our own perspective, convinced of our own righteousness while shutting out any voice that might challenge it. This archon reminds us how a closed mind can be a prison, preventing growth and understanding. Now, let's turn to a darker figure. Astaphaios, the archon with the face of a hyena. Hyenas in folklore are often seen as scavengers, deceitful and cruel, and that's precisely what Astaphaios embodies. This archon represents manipulation, propaganda, and the predatory forces that prey on our fears. In the modern world, Astaphaios is the architect of a toxic information ecosystem. Think of manipulative media that twists the truth to push an agenda, or social media algorithms that amplify outrage and division for profit. It's the political rhetoric that scapegoats entire groups of people, stoking fear and hatred to gain power. Astaphaios thrives in the shadows, distorting reality and turning us against each other. This archon is the whisper of doubt, the seed of conspiracy, the force that makes us question truth itself. It's a powerful reminder to be critical of the information we consume and aware of the emotional strings being pulled. Following Astaphaios, we meet a pair of archons often linked together, Cain and Abel. Their story is one of the oldest tales of conflict, and in the Gnostic system, they represent fundamental aspects of the human condition. Cain, the first murderer, symbolizes violence, betrayal, and the destructive side of human nature. He is the archetype of fratricide, brother turning against brother. In modern society, Cain's shadow looms large. We see it in social unrest, political polarization that turns neighbors into enemies, and the systemic oppression that pits one group against another. Cain is the force behind war, gang violence, and even the bitter conflicts that can tear families apart. He represents the tragic impulse to solve problems through force and domination. On the other side is Yabel, the innocent victim. He represents unwarranted suffering and the injustice inflicted by others. Yabel is the archetype for all those who are marginalized, oppressed, and silenced. He is the individual crushed by a corrupt system, the community displaced by corporate greed, the voice of dissent that is brutally suppressed. Yabel embodies the profound sorrow of unearned suffering and the vulnerability of innocence in a world where Cain's influence is strong. The dynamic between Cain and Abel isn't just an ancient story. It's a constant struggle playing out on the world stage and within our communities, a perpetual conflict between violence and victimhood, injustice, and the cry for righteousness. Then we have Yabel, or sometimes called Yobel, an archon deeply connected to envy and destructive competition. Yabel's influence is the green-eyed monster that whispers in our ear, telling us that someone else's success is our failure. In our hyper-competitive, social media-driven world, Yabel's influence is more potent than ever. This archon fuels the keeping up with the Joneses mentality, where our self-worth is measured by what we own and how we compare to others. It's at the heart of exploitative economic systems that treat life as a commodity and pit workers against each other. Yabel also fans the flames of divisive politics, turning complex social issues into a zero-sum game where one side must lose for the other to win. This archon thrives on scarcity and division, convincing us that there isn't enough to go around, leading to jealousy, resentment, and conflict. But not all archons are entirely negative. Meet Athoth, also known as Sabaoth. This archon is unique because he is said to have repented. He saw the flawed creation of Yaldabaoth and his fellow archons and had a change of heart, choosing to align with a higher principle of justice and light. Athoth is often depicted as the ruler of the seventh heaven, a realm of relative order and justice. Symbolically, Athoth represents the potential for reform and redemption within flawed systems. He is the softer side of power, the force for positive change from within. You can see his archetype in a legal system that strives for true justice, not just punishment. He's present in progressive religious movements that challenge old dogmas to embrace compassion and inclusivity. Athoth is the whistleblower who exposes corruption, the activist working within the government to create better policies. He reminds us that even the most rigid structures have cracks where light can get in, and that change is always possible. Now we enter more mysterious territory with the remaining archons, whose roles are more ambiguous. First is Abrazine. Little is written about this figure, but some interpretations suggest Abrazine embodies confusion and opaque authority. This archon represents the power that operates behind the scenes, the smoke-filled room where decisions are made without public knowledge or consent. It's the bewildering bureaucracy that seems to have no clear leader, the shadowy corporations with complex ownership structures, or the intelligence agencies operating under a veil of secrecy. Abrisine is the feeling that you're being controlled by forces you can't even identify, making it nearly impossible to challenge them. Similarly enigmatic is Armupiel. Even less is known about this archon, but the name might suggest a connection to a faceless power. Armupiel could symbolize the insidious, almost invisible nature of modern control. Think of the subtle influence of data collection or the unnoticed ways our behavior is shaped by algorithms. It isn't a loud, oppressive force, but a quiet, pervasive one that operates just beneath the level of our awareness. This archon is the creeping sense that our autonomy is being slowly eroded, not by a visible tyrant, but by a system so vast and impersonal that it becomes part of the background noise of life. Next is Melchior Adonaian. The name itself suggests a fusion of divine or kingly titles, hinting at a connection to false leadership. This archon could represent the archetype of the charismatic but deceptive leader. It's the cult leader who promises salvation while demanding total control. The politician who uses inspiring rhetoric to mask a self-serving agenda. Or the wellness guru who sells false hope in expensive packages. Melchior Adonaian preys on our desire for meaning and guidance, offering easy answers and a sense of belonging, but ultimately leading followers astray. This archon warns us to be discerning about who we place our trust in and to look beyond charisma to see the true substance, or lack thereof, in our leaders. Finally, we arrive at the ruler of the abyss, the lord of chaos and darkness, Belius. Sometimes equated with Satan or other figures of ultimate evil, Belius represents the deepest and most entrenched forms of systemic oppression. This is not just a single bad actor, but the entire corrupt foundation upon which injustice is built. Belius symbolizes the surveillance state that monitors its citizens, the hidden networks of power that perpetuate fear and control for their own benefit, and the profound spiritual darkness that can lead to widespread despair and nihilism. Belius is the ultimate expression of the archon's power, a system designed to keep humanity trapped, disempowered, and disconnected from its true potential. He represents the final boss, the culmination of all the fear, control, and ignorance embodied by the other archons. So, from the blind conformity of Athoth to the ultimate darkness of Belius, the 12 archons of Gnosticism offer a powerful symbolic language to understand our world. They aren't literal demons hiding in the sky. They are archetypes of the psychological and social forces that shape our reality every single day. Recognizing them is the first step toward reclaiming our own power. When you feel the pull of conformity, you can see Athoth. When you encounter stubborn dogma, you can name Eloaiou. When you see manipulative media, you can identify Astaphaios. By understanding these ancient symbols, we gain a new awareness. We can see the systems of control more clearly and consciously, choose not to participate in them. This knowledge empowers us to think critically, to seek truth, to foster compassion instead of division, and to work for change, just like the repentant Archon Adonaios. The Gnostic path wasn't just about identifying the prison, it was about finding the key to escape it. And that key is knowledge, gnosis. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the world of the Archons. I hope it's given you a new framework for looking at the world around you. What did you think? Do you see these archetypes playing out in your own life? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this journey into ancient wisdom, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content that explores the hidden maps of our reality. Until next time, stay curious and question everything.